I'm Brandon Amoroso, and this is the D2Z podcast, building and growing your business from a Gen Z perspective. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to D2Z, a podcast about using the Gen Z mindset to grow your business. I'm Gen Z entrepreneur Brandon Amoroso, founder and CEO of e-com agency Electric Marketing. Today I'm talking with Ben Parr, co-founder and president at Octane AI, the zero-party data marketing platform for Shopify brands. Ben's here to talk with us about the best way to increase revenue through personalization and a whole lot more. We use Octane for almost all of our clients at this point now, so I'm super excited to have you on the show, Ben. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. First question before we actually start, because I'm going to ask you a question, which is, what year is the cutoff between millennial and Gen Z? I am curious what you think.
So I think I'm an old Gen Z. So I think the cutoff is born in 98 for the Gen Z cutoff.
Interesting. So Gen Z, I've heard 97, I've heard 98, I've heard 2000. It seems like around there. I wonder why specifically it's like 1997. What happened, between the two groups?
I was born in 97. That's why.
That's what it is. I see. So
yes, and I didn't want to be a millennial, so that's why they made it 97 for me.
And then, so what means you're? God, and then when is the cutoff for the new generation? Is it Gen Alpha?
According to BeresfordResearch.com, Gen Z is 97 to 2012. So then 2013 to now is
very important, everyone, for your marketing work. You've got to start thinking about those. What's called Gen Alphas? I think it's what they're called. You got to figure out.
I'm starting a Gen Alpha agency right now.
I don't even know.
I found a family friend who's 11 and interested in marketing, so we're gonna run with it.
I guess you can't be an entrepreneur too young, or is that many other questions to ask in the future? But I thought that was really important for us to figure out.
I'm glad we got down to it. So now that we know what the Gen Z age range is, could you give everybody just a brief context and overview as to who you are, your start in the business world, how you've ended up here at Octane, and then we can just go from there.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Ben. I'm a human male from, I am a human male. I have heard he, him. I'm from I'm going to go the personal first. I'm from small town, Illinois, grew up with a lot of corn, soybean, cows, pigs.
Wait, where in Illinois?
Town called Princeton, Illinois, off of Interstate 80, which has...
I'm from Barrington.
I've heard of Barrington. That's bigger than Princeton. I think our population was 7,200 when I grew up. And then I decided I didn't want to live in a small town anymore. Moved to Chicago, went to school at Northwestern, and then moved west after Northwestern. And my original claim to fame when I moved to Silicon Valley was becoming the co-editor and editor-at-large of Mashable, the tech news website. So I ran the West Coast of Mashable, opened the West Coast office, had a team of 50, wrote 2,446 articles in my 4 years there. Eventually I left, and after interviewing everyone across under the sun in Silicon Valley, I left. I did a small VC fund on behalf of celebrities into early stage startups, which is its own story. Did a column for CBS and CNET, and wrote a best-selling book for HarperCollins called Captivology on the science and psychology of attention, why we pay attention to certain people and products, and how to utilize that science to captivate others. Got to interview 50 of the world's top PhDs in attention and memory, as well as business leaders like Sheryl Sandberg, Steven Soderbergh, David Copperfield, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Super Mario, all sorts of super interesting people. And then, after that, joined a bunch of boards, did a bunch of speaking, and then 2016, I did the natural next thing, which is co-founded an artificial intelligence company with my co-founder, Matt Schlecht. And that company is Octane AI, which is probably the primary reason we're chatting, has it on my fun hat right there. And we power, I know we'll get deep into it, but we're the quiz platform for Shopify. We power the zero-party data marketing in particular. So we've built a set of tools that help you collect this data that's directly volunteered from customers, that helps you rely less on third-party data from Facebook and others, and build your own data set to use for your own targeting, retargeting, and some super cool stuff that we're coming out with to help you gain new insights into your customers using fun things like artificial intelligence. So full platform for zero-party data.
Awesome. Well, there's like 8 different ways that we could take it after that intro, as I'm fascinated about some of the early experiences that you had. But let's dive into Octane. So I know you started it around like 2016, right?
Yeah, my co-founder Matt and I, our other co-founder Leaf, 2016. Fun. It wasn't even e-commerce at the time. It wasn't even quizzes at the time. It was chatbots for celebrities using Messenger. But the theme's always been the same, which is how can we build a more personal relationship using technology between consumer and brand, one that isn't built around blasting everybody, but instead is built on like conversation. And the quiz is the great, most recent evolution of that vision.
Got it. And how has pivoting been like? Because obviously quiz today, 5 years ago, chatbot for celebrities, like what sort of trials and tribulations did you go through to get to this point? And was there like a moment where you're like, yes, quizzes, this is what we're going to do? Or how did the product evolve?
I mean, there's if you could see the mental scars, it would be all over. I mean, it's an evolution constantly where Matt and I and the team were always listening to our customers. You know, the quiz came about, our star product, the zero-party data platform, as a result of our customers really trying to build these things using our messenger tools, which was weird. Like they were trying to make quizzes out of our messenger tools and embed it on the website. We were like, why? And they're like, custom building it is like a pain, costs a lot of money, doesn't have the integrations, doesn't have the analytics. And we were like, why don't we just build the tools for you? We've already built the tools to do this in Messenger. We can just translate that on the website. And we did. And we built in amazing design tools and things that do that. And over the last 6 months, we've really evolved further to listen to our customers. And, the biggest problem that they're all having is around third-party data, around like the drop in return on ad spend, and because of iOS 14.5, iOS 15. And we realized that if we could help our customers collect data that then they didn't have to rely on Facebook or other platforms anymore, that they would be in a better position with their own businesses and build a better relationship with their customers. And so it kind of like evolved like that over time. And there's been a bunch of stuff that's happened in between. There's some articles, like there's an article in Forbes about how we nearly died when we were a messenger company and we survived by the skin of our teeth. And that's happened, that happens with startups and that's happened with us. But we've definitely found something that's been working really, really well with our customers, with your customers, with stores trying to solve a real problem that has really impacted them in the last 6 months.
How much of your product development is based off of customer feedback? Like what amount did you say is that taken into consideration?
I mean, heavy. It's the number one thing. I would tell you that there's always certain things that you have to think about the future, where the direction is going, that people may not necessarily say they want, but they also are not thinking in that way at the beginning, there's some interesting stuff we'll be announcing in the near future on the artificial intelligence side, helping our customers leverage this deep data set that they're building to do some super cool things, some super cool insights, some super cool things that make it even easier to get started and to recommend products and to do all the things that you already do today with Octane AI. But those are not things that necessarily customers are like, I'm asking for that. But when you show it to them and they're like, oh God, I want that now. So, there's always a bunch of things and we're constantly improving. We have an endless pipeline. I could probably hire 6x the amount of engineers and still not make that much of a dent in the pipeline. But we're listening all the time.
That prioritization, I bet, has to be really challenging when there's so many different feature requests and ways that you could take the product, and how do you figure out what is that one that you're going to focus on at a given time?
That is honestly what having a great team is for. We have an amazing VP of product and an amazing product team who are ruthless in their prioritization. But I remember watching in a meeting yesterday, just pretty the roadmap for Q2, pretty much everything hit. And for Q1, almost everything hit. and done. And it's like, they're getting faster and faster, that product and engineering team. You just have to have great people to be ruthless with prioritization, because I'll come up with tons of ideas. Matt will come up with even more, frankly. Matt is like the product visionary. But you have to have, you have to balance that with like ruthless prioritization, because you can only do so many things so much.
So I got two questions off of that then. When it comes to like building out your team, and I'm sure it's evolved a lot as well as the product has changed, but what are some of the things that you've done to get to this point where you have that strong team? Because for any other business owner listening to this, that's going to be a really important step for them in scaling their company, is getting those right team members in the door. So like, how were you able to go about doing that?
That's a hard one. There's a couple of factors there's a couple pieces of advice. There's no one thing. A lot of it is not just like, here's the absolute best. It's like, who's best and like fits within the culture that you're trying to build, and, there's a very like, helpful, positive culture that Matt and I are trying to build. And, we want to work with people that, we really like working with. We don't want people in our company to feel like stressed all the time. And I know in other companies that works for them, and that's, cool if that's the environment that you want, but we wanted a specific environment. And we like just looked for those people and, built an interview process that really screened for that, and really screened for like what they had done in the past. But a lot of it really is about executive hiring, and executive hiring is a whole different game. Saw a few like, came from our personal networks and years of relationships. Others, came through like, we've used executive recruiting firms, which is actually something where if you're in our position, like this is not something you should do unless like you're a venture-backed company. But if you're a venture-backed company, you're going for Series A, Series B, you should be using an executive recruiting firm to help you do that and get the best swath of people possible. It's not cheap, but it's more expensive to hire the wrong VP.
That makes sense. And when it comes to the founder relationship, how did you know Matt beforehand? Where and how have you been able to work so successfully together for almost 6 years now on a product that's continually evolved? What is that dynamic like?
I remember years ago, I was at a Y Combinator demo day, and I was chatting with Paul, and Paul told me, Ben, the number one predictor of success or failure in Y Combinator is the number of months that the founders have known each other. And so they had data at the time, I'm pretty sure it's still true, that if the founders knew each other for less than 18 months before coming into the program, they were much more likely to fail than if they'd known each other for 18 months or more. And people forget that having a co-founder is you spend more time with your co-founder than you spend with your wife sometimes, or your husband, or your significant non-binary other. And it's really, you have to find something compatible with. Like Matt and I knew each other years, like before we started Octane together. We already knew that like we could go through fights, we could go through up and downs, and we'd be fine. And we had like complementary skill sets and could divide and conquer. But you have to like, the more time you know your co-founder, the better. The more time you spend with them before, the better. If you haven't, like, I really advocate, don't try to go kind of like a shotgun marriage co-founder. It can work, but it's like an arranged marriage where like, it's not going to always work. And you're gonna have a better shot if like you've spent years building those relationships with, if you're a non-technical co-founder with, with engineers and potential technical co-founders, or if you're a product co-founder, maybe spending time with a business co-founder and building that trust, because trust is everything when it comes to building a company. So it's a lot about the amount of time. It's dating. Like, don't get hitched at the like first sign. Like, actually spend some time dating beforehand before you actually like want to go and get married and spend 6 years in and out with your co-founder.
Got it. That makes sense. And I'm sure that relationship built around trust and sort of the values that you two share permeates throughout the rest of your organization. It just makes it easier to have that culture that team members want to work at.
Startups are hard. Startups are really, really hard. I never fall, when founder relationships don't work out, or someone realizes it's not the direction. It's really hard. And like the honest truth is we glamorize it, the lifestyle, but especially when you get in the venture backed realm of startups, it's really hard. There are other things you can do that are easier to make money. You don't do a startup because you want to make a ton of money. You do it because you have a passion for something, or you just have to build something yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the glamorization is something that, I mean, I even saw it in school, like the venture-backed company, that was the pinnacle of the entrepreneurship program. Whereas there are other ways to go about sort of doing and building your own business that don't necessarily require that VC-backed fundraising. But Absolutely. It's interesting.
And the vast majority of companies probably should not raise venture funding. You are on a specific path once you do it. And specific types of companies where it makes sense. And for most companies, it doesn't. And you are giving up a real chunk of your company to do it too.
I think it's been very interesting how many companies have been raising in the Shopify space in the last 6 to 12 months. And I think that probably most of them should have raised, but I think there were a couple that raised a lot. And maybe it was too much because that amount of money comes with great expectations. And
feel free to name names right here, right now.
I'm okay, but I will keep that to myself for now. But we'll see. I mean, I hope everybody does well in the long run, but it feels like there's just been so much money poured in that there's just not enough merchants to go around. It'll be interesting.
The reality is it's not. There will be consolidation. There will be failed companies, but there will also be super successful multi-billion-dollar companies that come out of it. It's kind of the game in some ways, but I would say you're on the other side. You're probably bombarded by like 4,000 different apps asking for a different thing, for a different kind of partnership. Like I could only imagine what like our mutual customer, like Florence by Mills, Millie Bobby Brown's brand, is like the kind of inbound that they get. I looked once at one of our customers, like they just showed me their emails, like, holy crap.
I just took over as like interim director of e-com for them for the time being as they transition to a full-time member. But the reason why I mentioned that is I now have all the emails that their former e-commerce director was getting coming to my inbox, and holy shit, it has been a nightmare. Like I've had to set up all these filters because the amount of app reach out that I am now receiving is incredible.
Right, and after this podcast, you're going to screen share and you're going to show me this because I'm just personally curious what people say. I've seen some of them, and I actually, I have people do pitch me their software for their, like, as if I'm like a major store owner. I'm like, oh goodness.
I'm surprised that you don't have like other quiz competitors pitching you on their tool.
It's happened.
I can imagine. That's hilarious. Okay, well, there was one thing I wanted to touch on before we continue on, because I've been on a couple of your webinars recently, and almost every single one, somebody's talking about TikTok. What are you seeing there? How much success are brands having by utilizing TikTok to drive quiz conversions and aggregating that zero-party data?
So why don't we talk about TikTok? So TikTok, it's interesting. I saw a stat today. TikTok will make more money last year than Twitter plus I think Snap combined, like in revenue, which doesn't surprise me, and probably will make more than Instagram, if not already is. It's for like, it's just where, you have to go where your customers are. Customers are on TikTok. They're ready. They're willing to buy, but you have to do a different strategy than you did on Facebook. So this is the part where I'll tell you, and you've heard it, but for everyone who doesn't know, I'll talk about the Jones Road Beauty strategy, because I do think it's one of the best versions of how to go and build to build a strategy around TikTok. So Jones Road Beauty, they sell beauty skincare products. They specifically work, it's Millie Bobby Brown skincare brand. There's a lot of, everyone can go buy them, and Florence would be great. But, instead of just driving traffic from Facebook ad, they drive it to a landing page using TikTok. And so they found that if you just drove people directly to a product page, they weren't ready to buy. But if you drove them to a quiz, you could warm them up, ask them questions, build a personal relationship. And then, you would use the quiz to get them to recommend products. And they found that 15% of people who went through that quiz would buy, 85% of people who would start that quiz would finish. They make 7 figures a month from that. And they make 3 to 4x return on ad spend by doing that. And in fact, they're not the only one. We're seeing more and more brands doing the same kind of thing where they're shifting their Facebook ad spend towards TikTok and using a quiz as the intermediary to help warm up those customers, collect those email addresses, do the follow. I know that's what you're doing. I know that's like what a lot of other brands are starting to do with TikTok. But like the short is like, whatever the strategy, like that's just where the customers are. And if you're not like starting to learn how TikTok works, you're going to be behind. It's not going away. It's not something that's a fad. It's, probably going to be the main social network that everyone age 16 to 36 uses. I'm sorry, probably 12 to 36 uses. It works. It's hella engaging.
Do you have a TikTok?
Yes, but I don't post on it at least yet. It's on my to-do list of like, I got to like figure out what I want to exactly say and do. I have an idea. It'd be related to a show that I'll probably start sometime soon. But my co-founder, Matt, you should all follow Matt Cat at, has 800,000 followers on TikTok for his drawing videos. He's a master at TikTok. He knows exactly what. And this is also part of how we figure out like some of the TikTok strategies, because my co-founder, Matt, has such deep experience like building an audience on TikTok. And I like text back and forth with a couple of like TikTok stars about just like random stuff happening in the ecosystem. I find the ecosystem dynamics to be fascinating. This probably comes and stems from my time as a reporter. You don't really like fully lose that. So I'm always tracking like what's happening in the new trends and things like that.
I also need to create a TikTok. I have one. I posted a cute video of my dog. It got like 100 likes and then I stopped. So I got to figure that out too.
I think of it like a show. You've got to figure out what your show's about. But some people's show is like, I talk about space content and like I talk about space. Some are like, I do food stuff. Others are like, I am showing you my personal life because my personal life is interesting for some reason. But like, there's a thematic that you really want to have. Like my co-founders became like drawing. So I'm thinking about the themes that I want to have, but I also got to test it against the algorithm. Like, what are the things people want to go talk about? And it's crazy how quickly you can become a star. I have a good friend of mine who just became a TikTok star for housing and development and like YIMBY stuff. It's like, wow, you like blew up overnight. That's the like real power of a TikTok.
Yeah, I think that algorithm is so much more friendly to basically like startup creators and people who don't necessarily have a following yet. Whereas, I mean, if you were to create an Instagram account today, the likelihood that you get any sort of following on that platform at any point is almost zero. Like it very much so favors the people that are already established on that platform, where I feel like TikTok is more of an open slate and rewards the content more than it rewards like who is the person posting it.
Yeah, it's that For You page, which I honestly think will the future social networks that really grow. And like TikTok won't be the last, and TikTok won't be the like one dominant forever. There'll be others. They will probably use some of that strategy because it's worked out really, really well. Exactly what the next thing looks like, I honestly can't tell you. If I could, then I'd become a VC and become very, very rich. But it's hard to tell. It's lightning in a bottle with that. But TikTok found lightning in a bottle, and you've got to like, especially with Facebook ad effectiveness dropping, the real opportunity is definitely in TikTok. Again, TikTok to quiz is a killer funnel. It really works.
And that personalization aspect that you're able to put into play once they take the quiz, I mean, the way that you can curate the customer experience now because of all that data that the customer is giving to you is really remarkable and allows you to stand out from a sea of direct to consumer brands.
Oh yeah, I just like making things appear, like Florence by Mills. This awesome.
I wish you're like a Zoom power user. I need to take a course from you. Maybe that's what your TikTok could be about: how to be a Zoom power user.
I mean, this one would like have one lesson. It's called download, which is what I'm using. It's MMHMM. It's one of our. It's accompanied by one of our investors, and it makes for this super awesome stuff where you can like change the backgrounds. So for everyone, I could change it that I'm in a pub. I could change it that I'm in a field of flowers. I could be stuck in a Game Boy. You get the idea here for those who are actually like seeing. And nowadays when I do presentations, I have my face and then I have like the thing there, and it's a whole thing now. It's a whole production.
That's awesome. I'm gonna go download it right now. You can tell your VC to give you credit for that additional download that you just drove. Well, I have one just last question before we jump here. For brands in 2022 who are listening to this, what's one piece of advice that you would give them aside from setting up a TikTok funnel to a quiz?
Oh, I can't do that one. I mean, I have a couple. Like one, like, and probably the most important one is, go and, take control of your data destiny now. Like Facebook ads, it's not going to magically like go back to the way it was. Like that era is over. And return on ad spend is going to be harder to, optimize. You need to have your own data set because third-party cookies are going to go away. Google is eventually going to remove third-party cookies sometime next year. It's time to like start building your data set. Quizzes are the best way, but there's a whole set of other tools, third-party data tools, to go and do it. But if you have that data set, then you can do segmentation on your email. You can do advanced SMS. You can do artificial intelligence. But if you don't have it and third-party cookies go away and your competitors have it, you will be screwed. It just is what will happen. And I think the haves and have-nots will be those who have collected their own data, built their own like zero-party data funnel, and those who have not. Those who figured out how to leverage TikTok, those who have not. So don't rest on your laurels. The ground is shifting quickly in the space. 2020 was an incredible year for e-commerce. 2021 was challenging for a lot of e-commerce brands. The combination of return on ad spend and like supply chain issues. And there's no reason to think that it won't be continually shifting over the next couple of years. There's going to be some huge companies that are going to be built in the next 5 to 10 years, I predict, but it'll be the ones who really adapted quickly to everything that's changing.
Yeah. I mean, with this unprecedented amount of change comes a lot of opportunity. And so the ones who are quick enough will be the ones who reap the benefits, but a lot of opportunity, but there will definitely be a lot of people who get left behind. So it'll be interesting.
I mean, I hope everyone who's listening is adapting. Not just, DM us, I'm SatBadPar on Twitter. My DMs might be long and full, but I will find a way to respond. But happy to always talk about this. It's a big shift over the next 2 years, especially.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you coming on. Can you let everybody know who's listening where they can find you online?
I think I already started doing that because I anticipate these things. @BenParr, BenParr on literally every social network, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whichever thing you prefer. But also @OctaneAI, OctaneAI.com. Go and go look at the quiz platform. Go and like start setting something up. Go and like ask your team for help. Go and ask amazing teams like Electric for help who are really good at this stuff. But seriously, like OctaneAI.com for all of your zero-party data needs.
Awesome. Well, everyone, as always, this is Brandon Amoroso. You can find me at brandonamoroso.com or electricmarketing.com. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming on.